Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela, everybody. All right, let's see who is in today. KSP Crafter, Preliminimal. I gotta get used to that new old name. Let's see. Ooh, it's not that many people. We are right before Thanksgiving in the USA, so that might be part of it. Chloe. It's funny watching you guys trying to figure out that creature on the thumbnail. Yeah, I don't think I would have guessed it. Flatfish is a good guess, but you will be surprised to find out it is not related to flatfish. Shari D is in. Welcome. Made it through another crazy week. Yep. Bubbles is in. Glad I actually put out the notification almost 2 hours in advance for once today, because we probably wouldn't have that many people. So I don't know about you guys. I don't have too much planned for Thanksgiving. We're just going to go eat. It's a very simple way of solving the problem. Jumping Ship is in. Katie Etheridge. Let's see. So Shari, I guess something weird's happened in Iran. I do think I remember them saying that they weren't gonna do any pushy things on the arm poke, um, those kind of things. So, is it like a shift? Do they have a different government now, or were they like threatened? So they're gonna do the REMD medication. That's it's definitely scary. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving. That doesn't that's like a terrible segue. I'm sorry. It's awful. Oh my God. Happy Thanksgiving, Iran. I am so sorry. Um, oh man, I don't know. It's just so crazy. The FDA said they're trying to get permission to not release their records for like 55 years. So they're just going to like release a few pages every now and then for like 55 years. So if there's anything really interesting in there, they're not going to want to release that right away. It kind of seems like a thing though, like you it's almost like they're like the universe is trying to get people to not jump to conclusions or assumptions and just go with things, because so many times I see these like criminal cases on TV, and it'll look like this one guy is totally guilty and all these people, yeah, that guy's guilty. Then a whole bunch of information will come out that the other guy's guilty. The other guy's guilty. Then a bunch of information will come out that some third guy, it's like whiplash all the time, and it's almost like it's trying to train you. And I've even was falling victim to this. When you hear a scenario and oh yeah, that guy's that you think, right? Then 3 days later, the whole story turns on a dime, and it looks totally the reverse with this new info. So even I've learned, whatever I hear first, there's probably going to be something coming down the chute in a few days or a week or 2 weeks that totally switches the whole storyline around. So, just I would always suggest just holding back judgment, because it just seems like that's how the storylines are. So again, we see this with Iran. First, they're going to do this, then it's this, but then it might be some third thing. Um, all you can do is just look for the ways around problems. That's all. You can't rely on anything anymore, but I do think you can rely on your ability to work around problems. That's really the only thing. You just have to be like, what's that old saying, the bend like a tree. You just, if the wind blows this way, it blows this way, and it blows that way, and it just seems to be like what we're being trained to do is be like extremely flexible. Okay, so what is that beastie thing in the thumbnail? Yes, I agree. It looks like that Grouch character from Sesame Street. I also thought of that, but it's also, somebody mentioned that it reminded them of what we talked about last week, which was that what was boring those weird tunnels in the earth, and then somebody made a comment about the Horta in the old Star Trek series, and it kind of looks like that if you see other images of it. So what is it? It's actually a shark. It is not. It's another one of those funky sharks. So let's see. What was that thing called? Fringed? Tasseled. 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 Not fringed. Wobbegong. Tasseled wobbegong shark. So we've had other wobbegons on the show before. And we looked up wobegongs before. But this guy wasn't there at that time. Now we have the tasseled wobbegong shark. So the majority of it kind of like snuggles under the dirt, and then you just see that big ugly mouth. Now a lot of things in the current timeline, there's a bunch of versions of it. Like this one doesn't have that many tassels, so they don't all look like the same. You know, they seems like they have a lot of color variation. Used to be everything pretty much had the same color if they were from the same species. There's another version. So what happens is this part kind of snuggles under the sand, and then you just see that part. Some of them have a lot of this tassels, and others have not much. So there's the eyes. I'm not sure what that thing is. There's the tassels in the mouth. So this one was found by Will Work for Answers, user on Retcon, who finds a lot of these different Mandelas, especially the animal ones. And since I've been watching the animal ones, you know, I'm a lot better at recognizing changes to the animal ones than some other Mandela subjects. That's why animals are on here a lot. So even the body is kind of weird looking. I think these guys are fairly new. That one really shows. He kind of looks like he's got this, you know, the neater ones, this is another pattern. The neater, newer looking versions of something tend to have a smaller file size. So when you see a really good one, you really want to see it, and it's like, you try to blow it up, and you can't. Here's one where it looks like the Horta a lot. Well, more. I mean, it's got the blobs. It's got the fringe. Apparently, it's got a couple little catfish whisker things. Boink. So this will be front on. There's the eyes here. I assume that they're going to say it's some kind of camouflage technique, but I probably should do a quick check on other wobbegong sharks and see what other bizarre Aroni things there is. What the heck is... Oh, okay. I was wondering what this was with his mouth, but it looks like he's eating a puffer fish. That's why his mouth is all spiky. I'm just going to type wobbegong shark and see what we find. Okay, so if you just type in wobbegong, you get tons of these tasseled guys, which I don't remember seeing any before. I wonder if this is the same guy we saw before, but they just grew the tassels since last time I looked. Because look, it's all... When you just type in wobbegong shark, you get the same. Let me just do a quick wiki and see. That's interesting. I was thinking maybe they would be a little unusual and not the most common example. Oh, it's got 2 B's now. I swear that only had 1 B before. 12 species of carpet shark. I don't remember it being wobbegong. Okay, let's look at the wiki. "12 species of carpet sharks, shallow temperate tropical waters of the Pacific Ocean." So they're not any deep sea weird thing. Spotted. So maybe it's wobbegong if they're Australian a lot. Yeah, I believe to come from Australian Aboriginal language. I swear it was wobbegong before. Okay. Spotted one. Okay, what you want to make a bet that these spots are going to get more crazy. They're already looking a little crazy. Not considered dangerous, but have attacked swimmers, snorkelers, and scuba divers who came close. 50 records unprovoked attacks by wobbegongs. All right, so I guess that's now the wobbegong of choice, is that fringy guy. Yeah, wobbegong. So preliminal has the right spelling, I think. Oh, yes. Wobby and then gong. So, yeah, I mean, it really does look like something. When I was a kid, it looks like some kind of Muppet thing or something. The moon has enough oxygen to support 8 billion people for 100,000 years. I think I saw that they were saying about oxygen being trapped in the soil or something. You know, you really have to give the Mandela effect credit for having very innovative ways of sneaking stuff into the reality. There's enough oxygen in the lunar regolith to support billions of people. Not in the atmosphere, but under the planet's rocky top layer, there's enough of the gas to sustain 8 billion humans. According to a prominent scientist. Yeah, I did see something about there being oxygen in there, like, what, a week ago, maybe? Not that long ago. So, yeah, I mean, just when you think, like, that it's going to be so hard for something to get snuck in there. So it's got water, and it's got ice, and it's got oxygen. Rocks are not breathable. The process of extracting the vast quantities of oxygen from them is a straightforward process. So, oh, it's energy hungry. Well, this story will grow, I am sure. I don't know, like the whole solar system is going to be habitable at this rate. Seriously. I mean, what's the end game here? Is it going to become habitable and then we'll move there? Yeah, it's like a giant crazy video game. So yeah, good find, Shari. I assume that's another link to something I just checked with that. Okay, so they still had to wear the oxygen suits because it's supposed to be locked in the soil. But although supposedly that is the new excuse for the moon rusting. Oh, so the moon is rusty now. Now I have definitely noticed that there's a lot more coloration being done on there in recent images in that. Oscar the Grouch of the Sea. Yeah, it does look like that. Capalicious 420's in. Welcome. RX and DNRX is in. The Logical Danger's in. All right, I'm just going to click on Shari's because somebody said something about the channel. Yep. Oh, I guess this is a good channel, republicworld.com. Yeah, so this one makes it, even this image, you can see a little bit of green tone that's starting to sneak into the craters there, but they're starting to show more and more images where there's reddish tones and greenish tones and yellowish tones on the moon. So yeah, I don't know, that you could see the storyline. So why so many? I mean, it's not just like Mars, but then it's the moon, and then there's other moons. So, I mean, are we just going to spread everywhere? French Canadian from Quebec. Instead of going to Mars, it's much cheaper to go to Greenland and put an orange filter on the landscape. Yeah, seriously. So yeah, that's what's confusing. Okay, all the old video that I used to watch of rocket launches that looked realistic now looks totally different. It doesn't look realistic. There's a whole bunch of weird, unrealistic looking stuff that's replaced the realistic looking stuff. So that's definitely evidence that, you know, the current space program is at least partially a load of hooey, if not the entire thing. Then you've got these really obvious green screen glitches in the ISS live stream feeds. So the whole thing looks like a load of hooey. So what's the deal? I mean, if that's going to be fake, then why have all these fantasy stories about the moon having water and all that? I mean, how did those two jive? I mean, why those two changes? So the space program is looking really quite fake, but yet the storyline for Mars and the moon and a lot of the solar system is rapidly changing. If that was just faking it, why change it? You know, why not keep the same old storyline? So, you know, unless the current space program is fake because they have other way better tech that they use, like anti-grav and something others like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm really curious how this is going to spin out, because some of the Mandelas I kind of see kind of converging into a storyline with the whole Tartaria thing and like that. And I don't know exactly where it's going, but it does seem to kind of be flowing in a general direction. But this whole space thing, I don't see how, you know, it's connecting up yet. Maybe I'll need a few more years and a bunch more shifts, but they know Earth is going to be destroyed. You know, I just don't, you know, if everything is so shifty, I don't think it's going to get destroyed unless we want it to get destroyed. Like if we make that reality in some timelines, I think it's us controlling it, basically. Or at least there's a lot of timelines. So if there's a lot of timelines, then it doesn't get destroyed in every one of them. I don't know. It just, I don't think we're heading towards total destruction of Earth. I really don't. I've been hearing that since I was a little kid on TV, and it never shows up. And the bald eagle's not endangered anymore, and the Great Barrier Reef never got killed. Instead, it just got bigger. And I still hear that the Great Barrier Reef is half dead. I've been hearing that like every year for like 20 years. It was going to be dead next year. So I'm not going for it. Angels Don't Fall is in. Okay, so what'd you miss? That thumbnail is called a tasseled wobbegong shark. That's all you missed. Well, mostly all you missed. They'll find some kind of life on the moon like they found on the outside of the ISS. Yeah, I think that we're going to get that storyline, you know, microbes and, you know, I think it's coming. I mean, it's just, they're so setting up for it. Ozone layer completely recovered. Yeah, they said it would be hundreds and hundreds of years before the ozone layer could recover. And now it's like, boom, it's all getting better already. No, they said hundreds and hundreds of years. Well, I didn't forget that. Yeah, right before the Mandela, they said the Great Barrier Reef is almost dead. It's always almost dead. Like, for sure, the bald eagle was destined for sure extinction. According to old storylines. So I just don't listen anymore. And it's not because I'm a Republican or a Democrat, because I'm neither. It's just that I've seen too much of this baloney. And, you know, now with the shiftiness of, you know, Arctica disappeared and the polar bears have changed shape, it really looks like the animals just changed shape to fit their environment. So even though I say it's part of the fear-mongering agenda, who creates the fear-mongering agenda? I mean, maybe it's us. Maybe our group think creates it. I mean, like, you look at humans, and we love a good fear-monger. I don't, on average, you know, humans, what kind of movies do we make? They're all full of almost dying and barely surviving, and there's like the sad ones. You look at like the ones from China, and like half the characters die and the other half are permanently damaged and missing limbs. Or there's a goofy comedy. That's like the China's two favorite ones. I mean, most of the movies are all miserable, especially lately. Apocalypse, zombie apocalypse. I mean, why do we do these things to ourselves? You go to the amusement park and there's food and scary rides. I mean, we just love that stuff. And lately, we just love saying we suck. You know, every last thing that there is, oh, but human deforestation and using them for ancient Chinese medicine, and everything we do is killing the environment. I mean, like, there's not one article hardly where they don't lay a guilt trip on you for not doing enough to save others and this and that and that. It's like, but I mean, is it really Hollywood? I mean, or is it us? I mean, we go see those movies, you know, we pay money to see that stuff. So it's in the human psyche. And there's a lot of spiritualists that say that it is said that humans love our drama. And so I don't, you know, Hollywood is still, I think, ultimately a representation of our own subconscious issues. And I think government is a representation of our own selfish and less pleasant issues. And now, with all those things accentuated, you know, you can see it more and more in Hollywood. You can see it more and more in government. It's more in your face. It's like our own dirty laundry is being waved in our face. That is my opinion on it anyway. So true. Even I love, see, so many people love horror movies. They're horrible. Why do you love them? You know, but yet you do. We don't like it if it's too easy. I mean, on a deep level, we're always looking for trouble. People do like fear. It keeps us on an edge. Yeah, and you learn a lot more when things are hard, so there's that. Anyone been extra super duper overly tired last week? I was really tired like yesterday. It was really bad. I think I was a little tired today, but I don't know. It comes and goes so much. The ozone was practically gone and then suddenly it recovered. Yeah, I swear they said it was going to be hundreds of years, and they also said that the gases in the atmosphere now, which was like in the 70s, like the 80s. Well, no, that'd be like the 90s. Yeah, around the 80s, later 80s. They said the gases that were already present from what we've already let off would continue to affect the atmosphere for at least 20 more years. Even if we totally cut it off right then, the ozone would continue to get worse for 20 more years before it even could start recovering, and it would take hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years to recover, at least 200 years before it would start to recover. So there's like freaking no way, because that would be 80, 90s. So that'd be into the aughts that it should be still being damaged by the existing ozone gases that we had released, and that would be assuming that they cut off all of them, which they didn't. So yeah, it's just it ain't right. It's social engineering. They tell us how to think and what to like and dislike. To some extent, yes, and people go for it. But you know what? People go for what they already want to hear. You know, you try to tell somebody something they don't want to hear, and it's very slow going. And even without movies, you know, you've got people with their endless dramas in their life. And, you know, it's just something that us humans do. So I don't know if, you know, it's easy to say Hollywood made us do it, but I think this is a group decision that we made, I think, on this earth of how it's going to be. And so you get the good and the ugly all mixed together. I have been extra wiped out, but I still have a hard time sleeping. Yeah, I don't know. The B1, the thiamine has helped me a lot with the sleeping, but I also do have to use some mental techniques to get to sleep. But since I've been doing the vitamin thiamine, the B1, I've been sleeping through the night pretty good, though. That helps. Hollywood has always been giving us a blueprint of what they wanted us to create and to see how the 50s were and how it changed. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely argue that, but, you know, how much does the world, is there like some evil overlord trying to make us into something, or is that just our own, is that just the manifestation of our own inner demons, you know? These evil overlords, are they really a separate entity? You know, I do think that there's like influences both ways, negative and positive, but you know, we choose what we watch. Americans don't have a culture. We have marketing and propaganda, and we call it our culture. Yeah, but so did mostly the other countries have pretty much gone the same way. So if you can't sleep, turn your phone off and put it in another room. You know what? I've done that for years and years, and so the problem is not related to the phone. So what do I have in that room? I don't have a computer in there. I have my clock, but it is one of the old-fashioned battery tick-tick clocks with the actual hands, and just the lamps. That's it. There's not much in that room. Phenibut, you can buy it as a supplement, improves mood and sleep. Similar to gabapentin. Yeah, you know, I've had a lot better with thiamine. Phenibut is kind of a stimulant type of thing, and I really the mild ones have no effect on me whatsoever. I think if you're more neurotypical, it might work a little, but I don't like to just give. I don't like to take if I can avoid it, and sometimes you can't because you don't know what the real problem is. But I prefer to take vitamins because if that fixes it, your core problem is at the vitamin level. So stimulants and stuff are trying to like flog you into functioning, but if you have a vitamin deficiency, then you could just long term make it worse. You got to try to find out what the core problem is as much as you can. We had a good surface culture going until the greed machine made it unbalanced. You know, I've seen all these shifts and stuff. There is no way that some Hollywood program altered the nature of reality, eliminated Antarctica, and scooted South America over. So therefore, I have a hard time believing that they're behind everything. I don't think they have that power. I think there's something more going on. If I didn't see the Mandela, I probably would totally go with that, though. I'm drinking chaga, ashwagandha. Yeah, you know, I've tried a couple of those supplements, and they kind of help for a while, and then I just become immune to them. The vitamins, however, the vitamins just keep on working. So I mean, if you can't figure out the problem and you need to function, then I do think that some of the other supplements can help. But ultimately, you have the building blocks of your body, and you want to try to get those as healthy as you can before you resort to like stimulants and stuff. Then I keep repeating the same part of a dream over and over again and just annoy myself. I do have that problem, Ryan. I do have that problem sometimes. The B1 vitamin really helps. I take a fair lot of it too. I think there's something maybe going on with the mitochondria. It's strange because it's getting more and more of a thing, this kind of higher dose B1 treatment. So you take more than just the RDA. You take enough that it's almost like medicinal, and it drives mitochondrial function. If your enzymes are lacking or not really operating the way it should, then vitamin B1 will like kind of push through those kind of deficits and help the mitochondrial function. So then, of course, it's not really the core issue, because why is my mitochondria not working properly? There's a lot of reasons they suspect, and I think that the timeline hasn't really barfed out the answer exactly yet, but it seems to be toxins, RO, like reactive oxygen species buildup, a bunch of stuff they think may weaken enzyme function. And without enzyme function, things kind of grind to a halt in the body. And B1 kind of, with a high level of it, pushes through that and causes the enzymes to be more, more reactive back to the way they used to be, basically. So it can't return it faster than it ever was. It can only return it to where it belongs. It can't make the enzyme function beyond where it would normally function, but it can return it to where it should be, in some people at least. If that's your problem, if you have some other problem like you're magnesium deficient or something, then vitamin B1's not going to fix that. You're going to have to figure out what you're deficient in. The other thing is some of the supplements like carnitine are still a nutrient. So if you eat more carnitine, then your body does not have to produce carnitine. So you can kind of take off some of the slack off your body with some of the nutrients. But when you get into stuff like ashwagandha and those, unless they have some kind of vitamin in them, then they're not really contributing building blocks as much as some of the other ones. So that's why I count those are like my fallback plan. And, you know, if you can't figure out what your deficiencies are and that makes you function, then fine, what else you going to do? But fermented foods are good for health. Yes. I think they, fermented foods probably help with the bacterial function and stuff in the gut. But, you know, there's a lot of shifts going on. It's like we're back. Okay. Yeah, my computer froze up a bit, so that was a problem. Okay, so let's get on to the next one, shall we? Okay, this one was found by Gary, commenter on the channel. Good find. I think I saw these a few weeks ago, but I kind of thought they were a joke or something. Oh, computer got really slow. The internet's been a little bit funky today. Okay, so they had these aircraft in World War II. I don't know if any of you have ever seen them. For me, they're fairly new. They had double fuselages. So one was the F-82 Mustang. So it's like there's two craft glued together, basically. What is this thing? Fine, I'll accept the cookies. Okay, so twin fuselages seem to disappear after the 1960s. Seriously? I mean, like, have you ever seen anything like that? Virgin Galactic has come out with a twin fuselage aircraft, the White Knight 2. Oh, so there's a new one. I understand the Virgin design as the space module is designed to fit between the two fuselages. But aside from that special case, are there any advanced aircraft? So apparently they're from the 1930s to 1950s. Merely a strange historical accident, or do they currently potentially have advantages? I don't know. None of that really makes sense to me. Shorter development time for high performance craft. Smaller overall surface area for two-engine aircraft. I mean, how does a fuselage make a smaller overall surface area? No structure directly aft of the fuselage, which helps to integrate the propulsion or improved access to cargo area. That one's weird. Okay. I don't know what to say about these things. I don't know. Okay, so this is the current normal design, and there's the twin fuselage design. Ooh, that one's weird. The flying V. Have you ever seen that? There's an entirely new type of twin fuselage plane have been designed. It's really something halfway between. It's called the flying V. The reason is to get a higher fuel efficiency for passenger transport. Designers claim it will use 20% less fuel than an Airbus 350. All right, I'm gonna have to click on that here. So anyway, I've been kvetching, and I really want the timeline to barf up a more cost-effective method of traveling, because right now private planes are way too expensive. It's very obnoxious. We really need to have better system for travel. All right, I go to the flying V, and what do I see? Okay, here we go. That totally looks ridiculous, though, I have to say. So what? I guess they'll put passengers all along here and along there. All right. Well, anyway, timeline needs to hurry it up, because I want, in a couple years, I want to see better options for flight, people. I want to do some traveling. Magnesium over time will build neural paths and restore normal brain function. So, yeah, I've been on magnesium that's probably my first and longest vitamin. It's been about 15 years now that I've been taking magnesium. Unfortunately, it didn't solve all my other issues, but it did solve the calf cramp problems and some teeth. My teeth are getting a little translucent, and it fixed both of those. Long ago, I figured that out, and I have definitely noticed that if I stop taking it, the calf cramp problems come right back. However, it looked like the majority of my problems were fixed with the B1. That's why I don't need to take the DMSO anymore, because the underlying problem looked to be more mitochondrial B1 related. The DMSO is basically making up for some of the problems that were caused. The trouble with DMSO is it works for a lot of stuff, but it doesn't fix the original problem. So it's, you're cobbling over the problem, but you haven't fixed it. So that's why I don't take the DMSO anymore, because the B1 fixed all those problems to a higher degree, and the DMSO doesn't really add anything now. Who was controlling it, the right plane or the left? I don't know. So they're working on flying cars now, and it's going to be, the one I've seen so far is like this drone style thing. And that'll allow them to have a lot of propellers, and then if some of the propellers fail, you could still set it down, because it wouldn't be just one. One of the big problems is those propellers are really dangerous. You can get private jet timeshares. You can, but they're ridiculously expensive. It's like, I mean, it's just to fly like a few hours is thousands and thousands of dollars just in the gas. The gas is the problem. It costs a mega fortune in gas to go anywhere. So if you have like 10 or 15 people all going to the same place, a private jet can be worth it then, because it would be just a little bit more than a normal ticket. But if there's just two of you, it's not, unless you somehow get on some kind of group thing. Let's just say that the price is still triple, at least, of a normal flight. And normal flights aren't cheap, so we're not there yet. Flying V looks structurally unsound. Yeah, I don't know. The current timeline, it's just different. I mean, how physics works and stuff, so. I want cars to get off oil and energy get off coal. I used to really worry about that, But then I just see that problems like the ozone layer can magically disappear. So the whole cause and effect assumptions that I used to have are pretty much gone now. And you know, tomorrow we can hear that it turns out that burning coal is saving the environment, and they'll have a big old story, just like there's suddenly a bunch of oxygen locked on the moon and all this. I mean, that stuff can turn on a dime, so I just don't really go for that anymore. If coal's effect on the environment needs to change, the Mandela effect will change it, just like that. We've got electric cars, yeah, and now we have electric cars since earlier 1800, 1900. You know, they preceded the oil gas cars now. So anything can just change. I'm waiting for Jesus to redo our world. You know, it already has in many ways. I mean, all these animals are showing up, and all these endangered animals are not endangered. And so, I mean, they're working on cold fusion. That could solve a lot of problems. Magnesium should be taken with boron. Interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. Let me just write that down. Magnesium. The pen to work. Boron. I will check into that, but it's not really Mandela related, so. Flying cars won't happen. Security risk. You know, they're already taking preliminary orders for them. But, I mean, it's going to be confusing because if a lot of people have them, then they're going to have to do something about the airspace controller. We're going to have collisions. The left pilot can only turn left and the right one to the right. Yeah, I don't know. Do they even have two pilots? I don't know. I mean, it's just... Only twins can fly it. Does anybody remember the presidents before Washington? They used to be 7, now they're 14. Half of them are black. Seriously? We had a bunch of black presidents now? That's interesting. Okay. I mean, besides Obama. Wait, okay, hold on a second. Because wasn't Obama supposed to have been the first one? Okay, this is a bit confusing. So their story is if you had one drop of black blood, then you were black. I don't think that was ever really how it worked back then. It was pretty much how you looked from everything I've ever heard. Several scholars have studied the genealogy of our previous commanders and chiefs. There are some alluring ancestry records that support the speculation that Obama is not our first black American commander. He was characterized by his political opponent as the son of a half-breed. Jefferson was alleged to be the son of a half and half father. Jefferson also fathered children with his slave, blah, blah. Ah, this is interesting. Calvin Coolidge's mother defended her dark skin by claiming a mixed Indian heritage. However, her maiden name was Moore, which in England was the name given to all blacks. The New England Indian population could hardly claim pure Indian accent because they mix so often with blacks. Eisenhower's mother was a known anti-war advocate who was part black. Huh. So this is all coming out of the woodwork. And some of this there's pretty good argument for. That seems like a lot of presidents to suddenly turn out part black. I wonder if the looks of the presidents will slowly alter. Okay, so whatever. I don't know what to say. I don't think that was the case before. I'm like, seriously? I mean, this all comes out now and nobody said a darn thing after Obama? I don't think so. All right, I'm just clicking on Shari's links here. So unfortunately, I just never memorized all the presidents. I mean, I had to for school, but then I immediately forgot them all. I mean, I recognize the names, but I certainly couldn't tick them off. Henry Middleton, Peyton Randolph. I don't remember those people. John Hancock, yes. Henry Lawrence, no. John Jay, no. Samuel Huntington, I don't think so. Thomas McKean, maybe. John Hanson, maybe. Elias Boudinot, maybe. Thomas Mifflin, no. Richard Henry Lee, I think so. Nathaniel Gorham, never heard of that. Arthur St. Clair, Cyrus Griffith. Most of those don't sound familiar at all. Although some names are familiar, many are unknown and unrecognized today as men who worked to establish the United States. Oh, okay, because they were in the Continental Congress. Okay, so these are Continental Congress people. President of Continental Congress is not the same as President of the United States. Okay, so they're sneaking in more presidents and they're saying they were the president of the Continental Congress, was sort of the precursor to the United States. There does seem to be quite a bit of push to say that those were presidents, though. I don't know, the Mandela effect is so sneaky that way. It is like, it's like the old story is true, but then there's this part that's added on, and then slowly your thought processes are shifted over. Huh. So yeah, typical Mandela sneakiness. It's funny because they're saying, oh, carbon dioxide is ruining the environment. Then the next thing you hear, we have a carbon dioxide shortage and they're having to kill pigs in the UK because there's not enough carbon dioxide and there's not enough fertilizer or something. I mean, like, it's just like, so what, next year they're going to suck the carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and fix the fertilizer problem? I mean, it could be. Hard to believe nobody had mentioned this before. Okay, so that Continental Congress baloney, I was hearing that like last year, but I don't remember the big shtick about there being a bunch of black people in there. So, okay, whatever, Mandela. Washington wasn't president until 1789. Oh yeah, how is it that late? Because 1776 is when the United States was ratified, right? Something like that. So it's like, hmm. How about Thanksgiving moving from the third Thursday of the month to the fourth? Yeah, what's up with that? That's an older Mandela, but Lincoln is black in this timeline. No, uh-huh. That would be. Lincoln is getting a makeover. Let's see. All right, I'm going to assume that it's not official narrative yet, but Abraham Lincoln was half black, historians reveal. New DNA evidence suggests that she somehow tricked her husband into believing that Abraham was the couple's child instead of from this black plantation worker. Are you serious? Well, okay. According to scientists working for Institute of Historical Science, which is linked to Harvard. Abraham Lincoln's mother was having an affair with a black plantation worker. How would they even know that? Oh, secret love letters unearthed in 2003. I don't remember that. Revealed that Lincoln's mother was conducting a clandestine affair. Come on, people. See, this is what I mean. Like, anything can change. I mean, coal could end up being the best thing ever. Carbon dioxide in the air could turn out to solve the global fertilizer crisis next week. So, you know, I wouldn't stress on these things. They have a way of magically fixing themselves. Something will show up and solve it. Then there'll be a new pile of things to worry about that they'll push on you, but then something will show up to solve those. All right, well. All right, let's go to USA Today, because that one should give the official narrative decently. All right, now that's just... All right, it's not talking anything about the blackness, but I would not be at all surprised if this kind of just continues to grow. Okay, so you can kind of see how it is. You know, you notice maybe people look a little different, and then suddenly their whole storyline of their lineage changes, and boom, we have a black president. And then, you know, all the old photos are black and white, right? So it's kind of hard to really get a feel for the skin tone. All right, so I'm not really seeing like really, okay. It's not really hit the mainstream as of yet. And this Black Hawk War thing, which I've never heard of, is also confusing things. But it's definitely an interesting storyline, and I would not be at all surprised if it continues to develop. The black and white twins from the UK. Yeah, see, in the old days, for me, you couldn't have like these. Once one egg was fertilized, then that was it. There wasn't going to be, you know, other eggs coming down the chute that get fertilized next month and all this baloney, and always all the babies in the mother were of the same age from the same batch. But that all went out the window. I've covered that before, though. So yeah, good find. It really does look like they're going to say that Lincoln was like part blackish. That's pretty funny. See, the Mandela can switch any storyline around. It really can. And that's why I'm not worrying about stuff anymore. Or at least I'm worrying about stuff a lot less. Republicans say they don't believe in big government, but they vote for it just as much. Anyway, more. I think that's part of what we're trying to, I think that's part of what the Mandela in the timeline is trying to teach you. It's like people pick a side and then they blindly follow it. But now we're seeing that the sides are so hypocritical. You know, the one side will say one thing, and then as soon as they're in power, they'll do the exact opposite of what they said. Or they'll malign something, and then they'll immediately do it. And 5 seconds later, after they said something's bad, now they're doing the same thing. Oh, but it's different because of some lame excuse. And it's like, so, you know, like the things I loved about Republicans, they're not really doing it. One of them is smaller government and less regulation. They're not doing that. The other thing that I used to love about him is the emphasis on fiscal responsibility and not spending more money than we have. They're not doing that anymore either. I mean, it's like, and stuff I used to be like about the Democrats was, being more open minded and more tolerant. They're not doing that anymore either. I mean, none of the good stuff is surviving in either side. So yeah. Oh, and Lincoln didn't free the slaves anymore, by the way. That we've covered that in another. That used to be the story, but that's not the story anymore. So he. It's kind of ironic because he was a white guy, used to be a white guy that freed the slaves, but now it sounds like he's going to be a black guy that didn't free the slaves. But I mean, the timeline, that's how it works. It's like a big coyote energy troll or something. The timelines, the Mandela. I mean, like if you look at the Easter Island statues, they took a statue famous for being a large bald head, and they made it a head with hair on it that is not a head anymore. It's a body. So, and somehow people fell for it. So, I vote third party, doesn't help but makes me feel better. Yes, that's what I did. I voted third party. Because I figure if two parties suck, then maybe we should empower the third party. And at least I'm not responsible for whatever crap happens with the two crappy candidates. To clarify, the Mandela is saying, trust your heart, not your mind. If it's really your heart and not your runaway emotions of greed and hate and all that stuff, then I would say yes. But if it's just you hating on another group of people and blaming all the world's problems on that group and thinking your group is all pristine and the savior of the world, yeah, I don't really think that's going to work. I voted for marijuana. Yeah, what was that? There was stickers going around on cars. Giant asteroid for president. I tend to kind of feel like that, except for I don't really want a giant asteroid either. The mainstream didn't know reality changed yet. Yeah, they still don't know it's changing. Mandela is teaching us to trust ourselves and not worry about the details. Yeah, I think it's trying to teach us something about how reality operates. Haters don't get the Mandela. I would like to say that, but I have definitely met or encountered online people who see the Mandela who are not very nice people. I mean, when I'm running Retconned as mod, there's definitely Mandela affected people that have to be put under moderation. One of the most common ones is for people to think that only their Mandelas are correct and everybody else's are lying, controlled opposition, blah, blah, blah. No matter how popular the Mandela in question is, if they don't see it, it's fake. And then they attack everybody that, sees that one. Even if it's like one of the most popular Mandelas in the entire community, if they don't see it, then they attack. And rudely and meanly, I might add. So that's a common problem. And then some people are just jerks. So unfortunately, as much as that would feed my ego, as much as a lot of us, that to think that those that see the Mandela are evolved great people, it's not always the case. Tom and Jerry fans shocked to learn Tom and Jerry's real names. What? In that cartoon, their names were Thomas, Jasper Cat, and Gerald Jinx Mouse. So that obvious came as shock for younger viewers. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Thomas Jasper Cat, huh? Jasper. That's a weird choice too, because he's not Jasper colored. Ironically, the mouse is a little bit Jasper colored, but Jasper. Yeah, I don't know. Gerald Jinx mouse. Okay. I don't know. You know, some of these things the timeline could make like anything. Those comments on Reddit are funny. I believe in the Mandela effect, but this is not a Mandela effect. Yeah, they don't understand. So there's more than one opinion on what's going on with the Mandela effect. There's, of course, the very popular timelines theory that I obviously am somewhat fond of. But there's also a group that believes that it's like there's only one timeline and people's minds are being like download altered. So there wouldn't be more than one timeline. So then they don't want to think their minds are being download altered. So then they have to think that their memories are the accurate ones. So yours can't be. So it, I mean, I think it really has to be harder and harder to believe that anymore because there's nobody that has exactly the same timeline memories. It's just like I know some people that are pretty close that remember like some of the bigger ones the same as me, but there's nobody who totally agrees with me. Even on ones I'm quite sure of, because certainly there's a lot of them where I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure it's this way, but it's, you know, not 110%. So if you believe that only your memories are right and everybody else is wrong, but nobody else has the exact same memories as you, then, I mean, how do you justify your opinion then? You have to sort out the weed on Reddit. There are people 24/7 trying to say it's misremembering, really with every post. Yeah, well, that's on the main sub, the subreddit called Mandela Effect. But on our sub, Retconned, that's not allowed, and we will delete your post. And if you don't quit it, we'll kick you off the island. So, yes, we are aware of this problem. All right. So Lincoln was black. Okay. I wonder if they're going to make him bald too. Oh, it turns out he just wore a wig. I had to check that. I kind of feel like anything you thought you knew, the timeline just goes for like the opposite. Like you thought that guy was bald. No, he had hair, but he shaved it every day. You thought that guy had a ton of hair. No, he was bald, but he had a giant wig. So sometimes I just sit down and go, this is the belief, so let me just see if it's true. Did Abraham Lincoln wear a wig? No, it was real hair, but he did wear a wig on special occasions. Maybe we need a few more shifts for that to show up. Okay, so yes, he still has hair. I don't know. Just sometimes I find Mandela's that way. I just randomly go, is this still true? So what is the one I caught recently? Okay, when I was in college, we studied a lot on the IQ tests since I was a psychology major. And one thing I remember very, very clearly was that African Americans and whites were only a half a point IQ point different in their scores. So very, very little because, 100 points is considered average. So the difference was so minuscule, and it was pretty much written off as just being cultural and maybe educational variances because those things can have an effect on the IQ score. As much as they try to pick questions that won't show those that won't be affected by education levels, it's very hard. So now apparently there's 15 to 17 points between them. So again, it could still be written off as cultural and education levels, but that's a lot more. So I used to just laugh at people who said that there was any IQ difference between blacks and whites because there obviously wasn't. It was such a tiny difference. It would be ridiculous to even consider it. But So I looked right lately just because I basically said as much and somebody goes, "No, you're wrong." And sure enough, I am wrong now. But I don't think it's magically changed since the 90s. I think that this is a different timeline. So what could that mean? It could be that education and upbringing have a lot more strong effect on mental processing. So if you maybe it was more genetic based in the old days, and now it's more environmental. Instead of tabla rasa, well, yeah, that'd be more tabla rasa. So it used to be genetics versus environment was the great argument. So we might have tipped more towards environment. That's interesting. Oh, statues becoming more trans, like Shiva. Even Liberty looks like a dude. Later, Liberty looks like a dude. Yeah, definitely. But it's not just that. It's just humans are male and female are looking more similar in general. It's often hard to tell now. I never had problems telling before because the bone structure was that different. I think the hardest ones I would tell was like some certain really trim faced males when they put on just a jackload of makeup were kind of hard to ID, and they had real trim bodies, and if they wore just the right clothes they could hide it. But generally speaking, no. If the makeup was off the face, it was really hard to get fooled. But now all the time I'm like, ugh, can't tell. I mean, even my own face, I didn't like the changes because I felt like I looked less feminine. That's one of the reasons I got the eyeliner and stuff put on because I just didn't like not looking like a girl as much as I remembered. So that's something the timeline's doing. The difference between male and females, I think, are getting slightly erased at least. And you also see a lot more violence out of women, mass murders and stuff. They used to be almost exclusively male perpetrators of those kind of crimes, but no more. Yeah, the Betty Boop thing, as far as who made that show, I really have no recollection either way, so I couldn't chime in on that one. I mean, I'm familiar with the show itself, but that's it. Okay, okay, this one's another weird one. Okay, so if you will recall, somewhere in here I have 418. A whiles back, excuse me, I got the hiccups. Kind of a whiles back, we were looking around at the back of the Sphinx, and one of the things I noticed was that there was this little vent thing in the side of the Sphinx, and I wasn't really sure it was a vent thing, but there was definitely like a little square back there. So one thing interesting is I don't really recall a lot of close-up video of the Sphinx until just recently. And now that I look back on it, it was kind of strange. You'd see far away images, and one would assume maybe they didn't let you get too close and protect the Sphinx from damage or whatever. But now people can get close. And so now we get a close-up of this vent thing. And so this guy just basically kicks it to the side. So his group has gotten exclusive rights to the Sphinx for 2 hours or something. And he comes in here and he looks down this thing. And I don't think I actually saved. And behind the vent is this. There's a giant hole in there. And there's like this ladder that goes down. And they said it's like 20 feet down. And so there's supposedly cross tunnels all through on here too. So the vent thing showed up and now there's tunnels and the Sphinx is at least partially hollow inside. So I think you'll recall way back in the day, maybe, I don't know if it's still in this timeline, there was rumors of a certain group that went there with ground penetrating radar and did their thing all around the Sphinx and said there were hollow pockets in there. But now it wouldn't even be something that you would debate because there's a freaking vent and you could just stick your head in there and look down there. So there would be no arguments or questions or drama about if there is a hollow pocket. It's now accepted that there is. And I've also said before that I don't remember like all the weird brickwork in front of the paws. It just used to be bedrock there. And now there's all this weird brickwork and stuff. So something's going on with the Sphinx. And then it got that weird door shape cut out underneath the ears. I'm still waiting to see what that's going to turn into. And there's like a weird hole on top of the head. And there's an image of somebody having like gone down into the hole. And there's all kind of weird stuff. So I don't know, waiting to see what happens with the Sphinx. So this video is called Clear Evidence That the Great Sphinx of Egypt is Hollow, and it's on Odyssey. If you guys want to check it out, ran into that. See, people are coming in. Julie Spoonie is in. The sea situation in Austria is horrendous. Yeah. I didn't read the whole thing. I know that the sanctions have gotten really bad, and I hope nobody's from Austria. I really do. It's just, sometimes when I hear these things, I'm like, I hope there's no real humans there, or, no people like us or whatever. I steer away from the cesspool that is Reddit. No genuine truthers there. There's a few spots, but, the regular Reddit, no. I think part of the problem with Reddit is I'm actually on this sub that is made only for bots. It's basically AI bot type programming, and they all comment to each other. And I've been learning a lot about how the bot creatures formulate and argue and make sentences and stuff. I'm going to show you this one. There's probably more than one of these. One thing I've really learned is like blanket insults are pretty popular with the bot creatures. I think it's something GPT. I'm trying to remember the name. You could find out all the ones I'm... This one's... I keep wondering if they're going to... This sub is called Birds Aren't Real, and it's totally tongue-in-cheek. But I keep wondering if it's going to come true sometimes. We're going to find out that the CIA has always had fake birds or something. I'm trying to remember. I always forget the name of this one. Some of these are just default subs that everybody is in. Like, I don't remember subbing to that one. When you start Reddit, there's like default subs. So like Mod News is one of them. R News is one of them. Dang it, I can't remember. So I have to scroll through it because I can't remember what it was called. I just subbed recently. Oh, here it is. Sub Simulator. GP2T or T2. Okay, so everything on this subreddit, Sub Simulator GP2T2, are all bots. So the main posts are by bots and all the comments are by bots. So some bot actually come up with this. And then you can hear the comments of this bot. Probably shouldn't have taken this one, but... I didn't know Obama was gay. Now I know. The Gay Pride Parade was just the first act he put on just to start the ball rolling. These are all different. So a bot that's like pro Donald Trump. Oh, so that's when I started. Okay. I won't cover all these. It makes sense for him to be gay. So these are all just, and that we don't want him to be president. Oh, shite. I forgot about that one. These are all just bots. They're not regular humans. It's time for a push to impeach. That's so dumb. I mean, so here it is, a bill that no Republican House member will vote for. the bill passed in the House with only Republican support. Who knows if that's even true? I don't know, but the bot made it sound good. It would be fine if we had a president who was not a shit stirrer. Okay, so see, some of these are very conveniently vague. I mean, any president that we've ever had, you could say, oh, they're a shit stirrer. Then you'll see comments like, what are you, retarded? You didn't even answer the question. They're all there's a lot of them that are kind of vague like that. Like, if the bot gets a little bit confused and hard to argue with you, it'll just insult you. The ad hominems. Like, you are so retarded, how old are you? Or something like that. You'll see a lot of those. And then there'll be these vague, we can't win a war against nature if we can't even win a war against ourselves. What does that even mean? But it can go you could put that behind a lot of statements and cover your butt. They keep looking for someone else to be outraged about. All of these are just bots. They're not even humans. They're not outraged. They're just trying to push the law through. So some of these are fairly astute. Don't forget about the left in Chicago, San Francisco, New York, and LA. These are the people who will stop at nothing. What about the whole left coast? And then you have the whole west coast and the whole west coast left coast. Sometimes it's a little weird. How about a national level left coast? That bot was getting a little confused, but still, I mean, you've heard way dumber on the internet than that. Okay, so when you hear all these ad hominems and stupid stuff, and some of it even is really good comments, and it's all freaking bots. It's all AI bots. And poor Lincoln, Emmy made him gay, that a gay statue, and now he's black. I don't know. Maybe he's going to be a girl. I don't know. He's going to be an alien. He's going to be half troglodyte. Or maybe they'll do that to Washington. Bit of venom. Yeah, it's like you go on a UFO site and then they attack you if you say you believe in UFOs. I know. What? A strange ME just happened to me before refreshing the page. Preliminal's name was Preliminal, and he had the next thing to his name. I spent a good minute rereading to make sure. I don't know. Preliminal, are you messing with your name? I think if he changes his name, then it will refresh the whole page, I think. So, on YouTube, you can change your name. Are you just like messing with people? Okay, so anyway, yeah, very interesting. I've spent some time on this sub simulator GPT-2, just getting a feel for how the bots talk and what kind of mistakes they make. And the one thing you can do to really confuse them is if you use something that is very, like if you say, oh, you're just a shill bot, that it's going to know. It's going to go, no, I'm not a shill bot. You're a shill bot or whatever. They'll say, oh, does a shill bot post and blah, blah kinds of subs? Or it'll come up with something good. But if you say something vague, like you have a TV innards for brains or something, it's not going to understand that. And then you'll usually get some kind of vague answer like you're a retard. It's not going to directly address what you said. Like another thing I say a lot is, did you recently become a citizen of Saudi Arabia? Because Saudi Arabia made a robot a citizen. So a lot of people on Reddit will get that, or they'll just not understand it at all. But a bot will try to answer as if it gets it, but it sure doesn't. It doesn't get it. So if you try to use something that, like, like you could use a cartoon character, you know, you could say, oh, next thing you know, you'll be saying danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger. It's not going to understand that you're referring to a robot that says that, because it's a cultural reference to a movie, and it takes a leap of logic that the AIs don't seem to be good at least not yet. So that's another one I like to say. Next thing you know, you'll be saying danger, Will Robinson. It's not going to get it. And so a human will totally get that, because almost everybody knows that old show. So if you want to figure out if you're talking to a bot, do something like that. Oh yeah, the live chat thing. You guys should tell me earlier, live chat. There is a strange 1400-year-old gold ginkgo tree. Gold ginkgo tree. Okay, we had ginkgos on my street when I was growing up. They did turn yellow. I'm trying to think now. They were pretty yellow, the ginkgo leaves. Even in my street when I was growing up. I don't think they were quite that yellow, but this would not be beyond the pale. And it just looked really old and big. It looks like it's a gajillion suckers of ginkgos, actually. That's not like just one tree. The ancient temple grows next to Gu Guanyin Buddhist temple. It has remained unchanged for more than two... Oh, okay. Well, the ginkgo itself is unchanged for more than 200 million, not that tree. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if that's something special. I do remember them having yellow leaves, though. Just, that's a huge bunch of trees, but I think it's all a bunch squished together. So it's not gold normally, but when they drop their leaves in the fall, they turn gold and then they drop them. You can see they've dropped all the leaves. So basically it's fall color, but they just do gold. Have you ever seen This Person Does Not Exist website AI generated people? Yes. Yes, we can run through that one too. I have seen it. I do not believe it's the highest quality one, because sometimes, so basically if you type in thispersondoesnotexist.com, all of these are computer generated people that it uses a certain algorithm for. Some of them do a better job than others. One thing I've noticed is if there's earrings, they'll usually screw that up. And if there's the collar on the neck is usually in bad shape. Like it doesn't make sense. So sometimes there'll be some really weird backgrounds too. Okay, so you can only see one earring here. All right, see what's this? What the hell happened to her hand here? And this thing, she looks like she has a mutated hand with a mangled fish. And then what's this over here? So it does good with the faces, but it has not figured out earrings or the rest of it. It's usually pretty good on the hair. Okay, so this earring does not match this earring. This one is a beaded blob, and this one is a hoop. You don't see both sides of the neckline here, so it's harder to tell. But those are the two I noticed for this. This one does better than a lot of them. Something's wrong with their ear there. And the neckline is passable. It looks a little funky, but it's passable. This neckline is not too bad either. Okay, what's going on over here? This is not a face, but it's skin colored. Blobs. It flops over his shoulder, whatever this creature monster is. The neckline here looks like it's this wide, and here it looks a little better than I've been seeing. But if you just glanced at this and weren't looking, then you would totally fall for these. But once you start looking, you're like, wait a minute. It does look like it's gotten a little better with the necklines. These are all very realistic people. A lot of times the backgrounds are a little, like what's going on here with this chunk of fabric and this thing. So you see here, if this is trees, then she must be sideways, yet her hair does not dangle down properly with the gravity. So the program does not understand gravity. That one's pretty good. If you don't think about it too hard, this could be pieces of boards or something. But when you start to really think about it, you're like, what is this thing in the background? Yeah, it looks like they might have upgraded a bit on these necklines, because they're looking better than I've seen them in a while. They're keeping the neckline more simple. All right, these earrings are close, but they don't quite match. The shapes are just a little off. It still hasn't gotten the earrings down. Okay, so what's this, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame over here? Close, but no cigar on the neckline, guys. This guy's missing an arm. So like I said, the face is really good, but it's still got, you know, again, you look back here, what exactly is this background back here? So I can only assume they probably have better quality ones. And if you saw this in a little thumbnail and you really weren't thinking about it, you'd fall for it. If there are two people, one will be deformed. Yes, yes, I have noticed that. I don't know why they even put two in the this person does not exist. I mean, they should just not have that. Okay, so I don't know if you can totally see it because it depends on how big your screen is, but the earrings were still a little off shape. Again, some of the changes, some of the alterations are not close enough that you would really for sure notice it, unless I know that this person does not exist, so I am specifically looking. Okay, so where are we here? Okay, so the double fusilage was from Gary. Tasseled wobbegons from We'll Look for Answers. Let's go for this one. That guy's making me laugh because it's a really good job until they forget his arm. All right, so apparently we have this thing called harp guitars. This timeline loves its bizarre musical instruments. So it's a half guitar, half harp. Harp guitar. Have you ever seen these? So yeah, okay. I don't know what to say, but in case you ever wanted to play a guitar and a harp at the same time, you now can. The Harp Guitar Factory homepage. Yeah, okay, whatever. I don't know. I mean, I can't swear to Mandela, but pretty weird. I don't know if I mentioned, but um, California. I think I've mentioned this that there's foxes in Southern California now. Gray, I believe it was a gray fox they're finding, and somebody found one of those little what do you call those? Not ferrets, but those kind of little creatures. Those have been showing up more. The first one showed up like a year ago. Was it a whole year ago? Maybe not even a whole year ago. So the creatures are becoming more and more. So now we have apparently this resident population of gray wolves up north. So originally there was just one gray wolf that had strayed into California, last I heard, like 5 years ago. But now there's like a whole population. Now, granted, they could have just bred a bunch since then, but I'm pretty suspicious. So now they're basically saying, oh, there's a bunch of them, but we just didn't, get lucky enough to get a good image of them. So the images are showing up now. Oh, okay, this is an interesting one. So speaking of the gray wolves, actually, I can close that ginkgo one. We had the white population of deer that showed up, but now we have a white population of coyotes, and they are in Newfoundland, Canada. So there's a weird bunch of stuff with these things because they're not albinos. They're calling them non-albino. They're just white, so they don't have like yellow, or they don't have red eyes or anything. They just have white fur. So then they're like, oh, well, they interbred a bunch or something, but yet they're super healthy and doing fine. I've been having trouble figuring out exactly how many of them there are. And the story is that they found a gene mutation that's common in golden retrievers. So they're like, oh, well, they must have like mated with a golden retriever. Okay, so there's some serious issues with this. First of all, golden retrievers aren't white. They are gold. And I've seen some that are pretty light, but they're not white. Okay, and if you take a golden retriever and mate it with a wild like Jindo or one of the more primitive breeds or whatever, you generally get dogs that look more like the primitive breed. They don't look like golden retrievers. So maybe you'll get one that's light colored, okay? But then when you take that one and breed it with another one that's not a golden retriever, I mean, pretty rapidly you end up with no white colored dogs because you keep breeding them with a non-white. You don't end up with a giant population of freaking white ones. You end up with a giant population of ones that look like coyote, okay? So the whole storyline that like one crossbreeding with one golden retriever yielded a giant population of white coyotes that are whiter than the golden retriever but still look just like coyotes. They don't have any of the other traits of the golden retriever except for the gold white fur. I mean, I think that's complete horse hockey. I mean, I'm sorry, but no, if they retained so much of the golden retriever to be all white like that, then they should have floppy ears and long hair and stuff, and they don't. So it's just funky. So the Mandela effect has barfed up a population of white coyotes in Newfoundland. I mean, I don't even remember coyotes being that far up. It's too freaking cold. That's wolf territory. The coyotes were always more like the more temperate regions. So I'm trying to figure out like how many of these are, and I can't find much data. I mean, some places refer to thousands of them, but then they don't say if they're all white. It's going back from like somewhere around the 70s in 1985 when these were sightings supposedly happened, and of course now the population is booming. So I mean, I don't know. That whole story, I'm not buying it with the golden retrievers business. Let me find another one. Okay, so this is like one of them here. No, that was in Reno. Interesting. Okay, that's not the white population. And then here they're calling them, this one I know is a stuffed one, supposedly from their snow coyotes. They're calling them snow coyotes. So it's just kind of convenient that they just happen to be up where there's all this snow and stuff. Of course, coyotes didn't used to be up in the snow because it was too freaking cold. But now we've got snow coyotes. Anyway, I expect that this one will... White wolf. Whitey coyote, Newfoundland animal profile, the National Geographic video. Now, the problem is I don't want to pay for National Geographic, so I wasn't able to read too much of the article, but it looks like it's pretty much all the stuff I've already said. Is cross-species breeding more common now? I heard liger, lion, tiger. Yeah, that one's been around a while. I do feel there are more of them than there used to be. However, coyotes and dogs and wolves have always been able to interbreed as canids for me. I just don't get that one golden retriever is going to yield a giant population of white coyotes that look just like coyotes but with white fur. I'm not buying it. These stories are made up to explain the shiftings. These stories get stupider and stupider. Yes, Eliza Powell, I totally agree with you. Yep, another funky story. All right, Shari's got a link on here about some funky instrument. We're going to have like every weird instrument you've ever heard of and a whole bunch you've never heard of. Oh, it's not loading though. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, that funky electric thing. Yeah. Spock jams on Vulcan electric harp, accompanied by hippie girl playing a bicycle wheel. Okay, so these are props, but we did have that thing in the Star Trek where they have this weird electronic, you play it by like moving your hands through the air or something. You're not touching anything, and it's all EM fields and stuff. And so apparently that thing is now it's now in the beginning of Star Trek in the opening credits. For me, it was just somebody who was singing with a high-pitched voice, but... a lot of those genetic manipulation were always unstable and didn't last long. Yeah, you would have bred out the whiteness. In the old days, one golden retriever mating would not yield a giant pack of white coyotes. There's no way. It would have been bred out. You don't have 2% dog in you and then have a whole different coat color. You know, maybe one or two here and there would get born with funky coloration, but it would be bred out again. All right, so that one was one I found. So harp guitars was found by Will Look for Answers, which finds a lot. She finds a lot. Good find, good find. Will Work for Answers on Retconned. The Hollow Sphinx was me. All right, there's one more. I have one more. 140. It wasn't a super busy week, but it wasn't super dead as far as Mandela's. But none of these are like screaming. But this one actually is kind of a big one for me. So we've been seeing a lot of those giant mountains that look like cut off tree stumps, but they're huge. And first there was just like one, and now they're like everywhere. And then next thing you know, there's this conspiracy theory thing that they're giant dead trees that were silicon trees or something. I mean, like I said, it sounds totally insane, but who knows anymore, especially with these things showing up everywhere. So about a week ago, suddenly I saw an image of one that I know I've never seen. It had a bunch of stuff on top of it. Usually they're just flat as a pancake. And it was a screensaver, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I ran into it just recently again, so it's only been out like a week or two. And then I was able to find out the name of it. It's such a stinker. You can see an image, but you won't know what the image is. All right, so it's Sigirya. For me, this is very new. Let me find an image here. Boink. Okay. So now we got another one of these flat top mountain things. It's called Sigirya, but this is what caught my eye here. It had a bunch of stuff on it. It wasn't just nothingness. It wasn't just flat blah. I saw this. I'm like, what's all this civilization business going on here? Okay. So, yes, Sigirya. So I know that's new for me. And then had this water feature up here. And it looks old, but I wasn't sure at first. But yeah, it's old. In the current timeline. Not for me, but in the current timeline. An ancient rock fortress located in northern Matale district near the town of Dambula in the central province, Sri Lanka. Its site of historical archaeological significance. I might as well just go to the whole wiki, save some time. Often called the eighth wonder of the world. Have you ever heard of this eighth wonder of the world, Sigirya Rock? On a small plateau halfway up the side of the rock. Okay, this is like legend. So there's a couple things about this that's weird. One is originally it had no ladders. There was no stairways or anything. It's sheer cliff walls. They have since built, a modern stairway system out of steel anchored into the rocks and stuff. But originally there was no obvious way to get up here. Okay, it was supposedly built 1,500 years ago. And the story is that nobody knew there was anything up there until 1983. That still seems like really late for me, because wouldn't planes flying over see the stuff? But anyway, so supposedly they found it up there. That's still like, no, I think it showed up for me like 2 weeks ago. But there's these structures are bricks. Okay, so that kind of fits in with the whole Tartarian thing. They're not rocks or anything. They're bricks. They say there's 3 million approximately bricks up there. So now there's nothing up here that would be the right materials to make these bricks. It doesn't have the right clay and all that stuff. So there's no way for them to make them on the top. So that means these bricks supposedly had been brought up from below. But yet there's no signs of or presence of any ancient structures to get up there. So what's up with that? Okay, how'd they get those 3 million bricks up there? What was going on? So that water feature, those water features are actually scooped out of the solid rock. And there's something weird because the main water feature never empties, even though they have like harsh summers. It never drains out completely. It's always got water. And when they have torrential rains, it never overflows. So they're saying there must be some kind of a control system in there to keep refilling it when it's hot and to drain off extra when it's not when it's raining and nobody's got any info on it after. I'm like, you would think they'd go down there with like scuba and lighting and they'd figure this out, but of course there's nothing. Um okay, that's about it. But yeah, the eighth wonder of the world. Have you ever heard of this Sigirya rock? Lion rocks and Hala? Sigirya. Sigirya, that's the pronunciation. Sigirya. They're calling it a fortress, but I mean, who knows what it is. So this thing's just kind of showed up. I don't know if we're going to get more like that, but eighth wonder of the world. Okay, so here's the current one, but we put in, if I recall correctly, there was a couple little stairs on the bottom and then it would just stop. So, oh yeah, that's right. So there's these giant feet at the bottom, which I also don't recall seeing. They do remind me of another set of feet I saw before. Maybe it's the same one that looked kind of like that, but there wasn't all this stuff on the top. It was just neat feet. So we've got these neat feet things. I'm not sure if these are, I think these are different ones than I covered before. Look how many fingers. There's only 1, 2, 3. It looks like there's only 3 fingers on these feet things too. 3 claws. So what kind of critter is that? And these stairs here are original. And then there was nothing all the way up until we built this, supposedly, off the existing stairs. So the only thing I could think of is maybe they had something here with these holes. There's like pokey holes in the cement, in the stone here. So did they have kind of some structure in these pokey holes? I don't know. What's this? Looks like weird things here. I don't know. There's something weird about it, but I've never seen this thing before. And these feet. Eighth wonder of the world, people. You snooze, you lose. This week, a box of cake mix changed from vanilla to lemon in 2 seconds in front of my daughter. Thought that would be pretty tricky. I mean, I've seen some changes, but not that rapid. Where I bought something and then it was like another flavor. Yeah, it's the ancient tree stump theory has been very popular with those, but those weird rocks just weren't in my old timeline. So you make your vanilla, you mix it all up, you go, huh, that tastes like lemon. You look at the box, it's lemon. This thing will change to a star fort in the future. I don't know, I don't know. I definitely keep an eye on it. Now those feet, I mean, I swear I saw another batch of feet on something else, and that was the only thing that had the feet. So these giant feet paw things, carved paw things, seem to be replicating. The eighth wonder of the world was always the Great Wall of China. And it went all the way around over the top where Mongolia is now, over all the northeast and south. It was definitely a lot nicer in the old timeline. Now there's only a couple spots of it that's nice, and there's routes all over the place, and it's a mess. All right, Voynich is in. Is that from that Voynich manuscript? A lot of people think that manuscript has changed a bit too with the shifts. Man transforms into black alien by having lips removed after cutting off his nose and splitting his tongue. Yeah, there's a lot of that. I always it used to be that they wouldn't do that stuff on people because, well, he's got food in his mouth there. because it was like the do no harm rule, you know. So I don't know. So that structure is called Sigirya, Sigirya. Sigirya rock. I have yet to see any of those people in real life, though, frankly. I haven't even seen anybody half that weird. I mean, the weirdest I think I've seen around here would be like some guy had a mohawk and a couple of piercings and stuff, but that was it. Does anybody know what's changing causing hiccups like the cake stuff? I don't know. I don't know if it's trying to wake people up and we're already awake. So, um, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, so I bought this one. I've covered this before. I bought this one flavor of juice, and I was really careful to make sure it was my favorite flavor of juice because it's just this one. It's pine orange banana by Dole, and I just like the pine orange banana. And if they don't have pine orange banana, I'm not buying it. And I very carefully make sure I read it. So, they have another one that has strawberry in it, which I don't like. And so I bought the pine orange banana and I put it in the fridge. And then later I drank some and I'm like, oh, why does it taste like the strawberry one? The strawberry one's not horrible, but I just like the pine orange banana. I'm like, dang, it doesn't remember like it doesn't taste like, I remember it tastes like the strawberry one. And I look on the box and it's the freaking strawberry one. And so like I only buy these once every few months because a ton of sugar is not that good for you. And I'm like, how did it turn into the strawberry one, the one I don't like? It's so weird. So I don't know if they're hiccups or we just shifted or the timeline's getting confused. I don't know. Is it because we're meant to wake up? You know, the weirder this stuff gets, is it going to wake up more people? I mean, I assume me I had it was my the best Emmy I had was my vitamin bottle doubled in the fridge. Well, that's convenient. So I try to leave myself open to stuff like that. Like sometimes I can't find something or I threw something away by mistake or whatever. And I'm like, I just try to say, well, what if maybe I really have another one in the closet? Or what if I just look? Maybe I don't know. It seems like it kind of helps stuff show up if you just leave it open in your mind that maybe it's really there. Don't fight it. And you might, you find that it kind of works for you. It's like, don't even try too hard to really remember if it's there or not. Just hope it is. I bought shampoo and conditioner several times and got home and had 2 bottles of conditioner. I don't know if is it like the Mandela is just trying to like remind us that it's there, it's trying to say something. Or is it just really that all the conditioners at the store, all the shampoos turned to conditioners, and so therefore yours had to also? Yeah, I do wonder about that stuff. I have had that happen. My spouse had a signed concert T-shirt from before we were married. We went there together, but I didn't get a T-shirt. Years later, he suddenly had 2 signed shirts. No explanation. So yeah, so I have noticed that a lot of stuff that's doubling seems to be like stuff you wish you had 2 of. So it kind of feels like if you kind of work with it and don't fight it and go, don't try to nail down reality too much when it comes to stuff you want. So like when stuff vanishes, just go look. It's probably, somewhere that'll show up. Just, instead of sitting there going, I know it was here, now it's gone and I'll never see it again and just try to like, oh, it'll probably show up soon. Ha ha, and just go, oh, it'd be really neat if it just showed back up in the next few days. Just try to leave it open like that. So preliminal is saying that he had two lids off the same ice cream. That's interesting. I've definitely had it where I'd see something really weird and I'd ask people and they just would act like I don't know, they just act like they didn't hear me even ask the question. Like I'll say, why does the sky look so weird? And they don't even say it doesn't look weird. They don't say it does. They just don't answer. Socks are lost forever. No, could be. Except for at my house, I have a cat who has developed a taste for baby socks. And I don't know where he gets them. I think there's babies from around the neighborhood are missing their socks. So he'll steal these baby socks and then he'll come like blocks and blocks and blocks home with this sock from this baby. So we're now getting baby socks. So if you're missing baby socks in Escondido, my cat might have them. I close the door on our electrical switch box. Within a week, it will be wide open again. Maybe put some like duct tape on there and see what happens. Suddenly, a yellow house was on my block. Yeah, there was a weird thing with a green fence. There was this freaking neon green fence for like a year, and then it was gone. But it didn't look freshly painted, and I can't really quite figure out where the neon green fence went. So yeah, it seems like keep positive, because if you keep negative, that seems to program in that. So try to leave room for the positive whenever possible. Like if you really want that thing to show up, just try to think it'll show up and it's fine and you can work with it. Sock gremlins make one sock at a time. Yeah, so I have an evil sock gremlin and he sleeps here every night. He is a little stinker. At night, he is like gremlins, because after dark, he turns into a little monster. He's a stinky little brat. I hope your cat isn't attacking babies. No, he's very sneaky about it. Yeah, he would definitely distract you and then steal your stuff. I mean, I wouldn't really be surprised if he just grabbed on gently with his mouth and yanked it. I mean, it's not going to hurt a baby, but he is very sneaky, that kitty. So he's a little demon at night. And then during the day, he's like a little angel. My cat kept bringing one glove. He also took all our vape batteries and put them behind the TV. I don't know, does that cat do that? Yeah, I think it's to say. I don't think so. Okay, so Sigirya is my last one. And that one's actually my strongest one, too. Because I just... The minute I saw that, I'm like, what is that? Ugh. And then it showed up again. I'd never before seen it in all my 50-something years. And then I see it one week and then it again next week. And it's the eighth wonder of the world. Yeah, I don't think so. My cat keeps hiding my eye drops and pens. So what's been disappearing at my house? It's been certain work items. Like I'll buy a whole bag of boar tusks. And that thing disappeared. And it was gone for like 2 years, and we looked everywhere. There's only a few spots it could be, and we looked, like I have bins of stuff and I put overstock behind, so I pulled out like every bin and looked behind every bin for that extra bag of those boar tusks that I had just gotten in that I needed to replenish, and they weren't there. They were gone. And it's not even something someone would bother to steal, so for years that was gone. And I eventually couldn't even get those boar tusks anymore. So we were out of them for like a year and a half. And many times I went behind all the bins getting other stuff out. And then, like a couple months ago, magically, there was a giant bag of boar tusks back there. So they showed up again. They came back years later. So now I'm selling them again. I renewed the listing because I have a giant bag of boar tusks. But it's just like weird. Boar tusks like pigs, you know. Um, so there was that one. I think there was one other thing like that. It just gone. I just buy these things. I'm in charge of purchasing, and I know I just bought it, and I know I took it out of the box, and I know we had it. It's like, where did it go? Neighborhood changes are so freaky. April 2017, a building appeared on a street I drive by every day, an 8-story building. Then it was gone. Ooh, it's extra freaky when they show up and then disappear. Because when they show up and then you're like, I'm pretty sure that wasn't there, but now your brain is on it. So when it disappears again, it's like, whoa. Animals are more friendlier than ever. Dove sits on my wrist, and I have an outdoor pet possum family. The possums have gotten a lot nicer, definitely. They don't run, they don't hiss. One was on my tree, and I feel like I could probably almost pet the thing. The cat is defo gently pulling the socks. I think so. He's stealing those because there's too many of them. If once in a while maybe a baby throws off a sock. The only other thing he might be doing is going in the house and stealing them, because he will sneak into houses sometimes. So what animals we're getting? These weasels. That's it. We got the weasels. Now we have foxes. We never had foxes over here. There's no way. The deserts had kit foxes. We had no foxes. So now we have gray foxes. That's a trip. So I don't know what else is going to show up. I wonder if we'll get deer out here in the desert area. As it's technically desert chaparral. So I've never seen a deer here, but it wouldn't be beyond the pale if we got deer. Raccoons showing up. Yeah, possums look way cuter now, too. They used to be this gray rat thing, but now they've got white faces. The fur used to be all ratty looking, but now it's all fluffy and plush. Happy Thanksgiving. Dark Wolf's Den's in. Looks like you're here for the end of the show, dude. Yeah, so technically it's 2 hours into Thanksgiving for us Americanos. I should put a camera on my kitty. There's a lot of video of cameras on kitties, but yes, it might be fun because he does climb around a lot. We have an adopted pet, squirrel and possum, that visit daily. Kangaroo in the USA. Yeah, I don't, 10 years from now, if this keeps up, who knows what we'll see. My Irish spring soap used to be green. It's not green anymore. I used to have that stuff. It was, I remember a green streak, actually. Like it had a green, like, I don't know, veining in it. The animals will become friends when we stop eating meat. I stopped a decade ago, and now nature is my friend. I don't know. They're being pretty nice to me, and I still eat meat. Yeah, so the possums for me used to be gray, and the fur was kind of greasy. And if you got near them, they would hiss really loud. They don't do any of that now. They're pretty cute. Some kids say mirror is a door to another world, so there might be some truth to that. I don't know. Maybe if you think it is, then it is. I do think the power of the mind is a lot, so. Sweetheart 11 is in. She's cooking a big meal. Now we're just going to go out and eat a big meal, and somebody else is going to do all the cooking. Want to see dinosaurs never went extinct. We're kind of seeing that, though, because there's all these animals that are showing up that they're saying are dinosaurs. Like, these are dinosaurs that never went extinct. And let's see, we got the woolly mammoths. The woolly mammoths, they're saying only went extinct 4,000 years ago. So they're kind of opening the door that some of those might show up. But on the flip side, what I'm seeing was happening with the regular elephants is they're starting to look more and more like woolly mammoths. They're getting furrier and fuzzier. The tusks are getting really long. They're getting much bigger. They themselves seem to be turning into something like a woolly mammoth. So let's look up hairy elephant. I want to see how far it's gotten. I've had that on before, but... So first the babies are getting it. Then more and more. So like I had this one on before of this baby elephant with a bunch of hair. See, I mean, look at all that hair. That's even more than I recall last time I looked at. And it's over the rest of the body now. So that's an elephant. It's not a woolly mammoth. Saber-toothed elephant discovered in Borneo. Let me just check that out because I don't know that one. Where is it? So that might be a teaser because I'm not really finding saber. Nope. Just a teaser. Well, actually, I could do a Google. Saber-toothed. Oops. A rare pygmy elephant displaying its tusks growing downwards. Okay, this is interesting. So before I did have an image of a little elephant with a lot of hair on it, but it didn't have saber teeth. A rare, okay, oddly shaped tusks give the tiny elephant a saber-toothed appearance. Unfortunately, this rare elephant was brutally slaughtered for his ivory. I'm going to bet there's going to be more of these things. I bet you. All right, so here's the woolly mammoth. Big tusks, right? But then if you start looking at some of the elephants with big tusks, they look more and more like these woolly mammoths. And the woolly mammoth's tusks have gotten bigger too. All right, so here's an elephant with a bunch of hair. Elephant with trendy hairstyle goes viral. All right, that's an awful lot of hair for an elephant. And then you got the pink spots that are growing on the elephants. So we're not there yet, but, you know, they're definitely altering to be more like it. All right, so let's... Who knew baby elephants were so hairy? Well, you know what? Nobody did because they weren't freaking hairy. Look at that thing. All right, so let's look at elephants with big tusks. So a while ago, they had that storyline that there was a thing called big tuskers elephants. The heck? This one's a new one. Okay, interesting. Okay, so instead of having them curly, that's when kind of the difference is that the woolly mammoth one's curls. Rare mammoth-like queen of elephants with huge tusks so long they dragged on the ground. I have never seen this before. I have definitely looked. You know, the legs are getting so long. Interesting. I've never seen this one before. Look at those legs, how long they are. Okay, so there's going to be this horrible sob story about how she's gone forever. But I think we'll see more versions of this also. The tusks just get longer and longer on these things. So the main difference between the woolly mammoths now is that they're woolly and the tusks had more curve. But you can definitely see that the elephant tusks are very much working on that same look. I mean, like, look at how big those are. So for me, this was more like a woolly mammoth tusks for me before. And so now they're getting hairy. It was actually these images that really shocked me because there was people standing next to these and these were way taller than people. And I'm like, wait, what are those tusks even from? I thought that they were fake. So like this kind of thing here. The Kilimanjaro elephant tusks. So don't those look like woolly mammoths? But apparently they're not. The largest ever recorded at 464 pounds. Okay, anyways, I think I'm about done, unless you guys have anything. So they basically aren't going extinct. They're coming back, but they're just not being said to be back. They're just making an appearance, and they were always here. See, my problem is everything has like a life force to me, like the trees and the little onion sprouts. You can feel it in everything. That's why it's like I don't even like picking my own onions because I feel bad, you know. So it's like yeah, everything has life. So, but yet I do like the process of eating. I enjoy it. So it's kind of a stinker. Plants definitely have souls. They have something. Yeah, you're right about those tusks on that down pointing one. It does look kind of right on that one elephant, doesn't it? I'm trying to remember what I remember. Did it way back when the tusks point down on elephants? Yeah, I kind of noticed that too, but I wasn't sure. The pile of tusks is a damn shame. So for me, there was no tusks weren't that long. There was not going to be any piles of tusks that were, 10 feet tall. They just weren't. That was woolly mammoth style tusks. And, they're digging woolly mammoth tusks like left and right. Like there's an endless supply of them now. Yeah, see, I feel bad for picking things. I don't like killing things. I don't like picking things. I prefer things that can't live, like, because it's already, like, see, like, if I get an onion from the store, you could plant that and then it would grow, so it's like you have to kill it again when you're eating it. I hate that. And if I think about it too much, it'll make me crazy. So I just have to not. What a life, we have to kill something to survive. Yeah, but then if you look at it further, I mean, like, if this is a video game and you get kicked off the island, you're not dead. Your consciousness goes back to wherever it came from. When you're playing World of Warcraft and, you know, some character kills your character, you're not dead. So if you think of it that way, it's not that bad. But it's just, I don't know. It's all confusing. David Wilcox was talking about how the plants can read your mind, and yeah, I know there's something going on with them, especially like the bigger ones like trees and stuff. Apparently the story now is that they cut the farmer's tusks safely so hunters have no more reason to hunt them. Yeah, I've been hearing stuff like that where they just like do something to the tusks so that you can't hunt. I don't know, there's a lot of weird storyline on the tusks. Do you remember when you first saw the pentagram on Saturn? What year was it? That was quite some time ago. Maybe around 2012 would be a guess. I won't say it's exactly then, but probably around then. It's been a while for me. The plant waving. Yes, I did. There was a video where this plant branch would always keep moving. Now, if you want to look at it totally scientifically, it could be that the leaf structure was just enough to catch a slight wind, and that there would be enough of a pulsing so that it would like pick up like a resonance to make it move. But you know, who knows? The reality likes to be weird. And we do have a lot more moving plants now, so it might be another precursor. So we've had plants that kind of move leaves. Maybe we will get plants that can move the whole branch. Even the memory span of goldfish of 3 seconds has changed. It's at least 5 months in this reality. Yes, I definitely remember when it was 5 seconds, I think it was, or something. The other thing is that the goldfish eyes all move independently now. Mandela covered that on his video. They used to just go all together, but now they're like chameleons. The eyes are all independent. Never cut a tree for no reason. No, because plants don't poison them with pesticide. Yeah, but what if it's poison oak? Then what? Then it gets tricky. So yeah, I don't know. I don't feel as bad about fruits because I figured the tree makes them to be eaten. Because you eat the fruit and then the seed is scattered. So the tree is usually fairly happy about that. 2 huge early changes for me. The Nag Hammadi suddenly appeared and the pentagram on the south pole of Saturn. Yeah, they did sort of show up out of nowhere, the Nag Hammadi. There's a lot of new weird stuff like that. Some of it's older new, but... All right, anyways, it's getting late, so I'm going to shove on out. And thanks to everybody for coming. Have a very good Thanksgiving, everybody in America. And thank you for all your contributions, as usual. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.